Okay.
Where
Hi,
are you
everybody.
from?
Well, okay, I'll tell you. Hi, everybody. This is Lisa once again, and I'm back. This hour, it's going to be a speaking class, a conversation class. In the last hour, we read an article about the French soccer clubs threatening to go on strike if they don't get what they want related to a new tax. And so then we talked about protests and strikes and what can happen when some anarchists or other people come to infiltrate or instigate violence. So we're going to continue that conversation now. We're going to maybe move into the taxes. We'll see where the conversation goes. So we're going to just be talking in this hour. So if you want to join us, some people are rejoining us, and if you want to come in, even if you haven't yet read the article, you'll be able to figure out what we're talking about pretty quickly. So yeah, hello everybody, welcome back, and hi Carlos, welcome. What happened to all the girls? Nihon is sticking with it. Okay. Welcome. Okay. So like I said, we're gonna continue. Adriana, I wanted to continue talking what you were saying about. What did I hear you correctly? Was it called Black Bloc? Is that right?
Black Bloc.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's some group in Brazil.
Yes, it's a group in Brazil. They for them, uh, you have to finish the government, the democracy. They want to finish the
Oh.
democracy.
Okay. What? And they want anarchy instead.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. So they have a political agenda. Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
and they make the protests really violent. And
I had never understood that. I never understood how, like a political party or a group of people could think that they're going to get more power by going in and kind of making people mad, really, because I don't think that the majority of people want that type of violence. I think what I can understand from the protests that I heard about in Brazil this year about the strike of the protest against the in Sao Paulo, the one against the raising the rate, that one, when they raised the rate of the transportation. And also the protest against the World Cup, how much money they were spending on building new stadiums versus healthcare and education and things like that. Like, that makes sense, but why does somebody, that makes sense that people would support that, maybe, that they're frustrated about the government spending the money that way, but it doesn't make sense that some group of people would come in and create this violence and think that therefore people are going to support their ideas. Seems kind of crazy.
no, but Brazil, there is a lot of corruption.
Yes, of course, yeah, I know.
Unhappily, and the people, they don't care about the education because uneducated people will continue to vote to stupid politicians,
I
politics.
see. Mm-hmm.
And I support the protest. You have to go there.
Sure.
But sometimes the people, they are in the protest, they don't know why they are there.
Yeah.
And because there are a lot of stupid people, and it's a paradox.
Yes.
You have bad education, how you gonna have not stupid people? So it's a kind of.
It's kind of an equation.
Yeah.
Bad education equals stupid people. Okay.
Yeah, but Brazil is really a young country. We just, for me, we just have 100 years.
Okay.
Because before the
Hmm.
royal family came to Brazil,
Hmm.
Brazil just were explored, you know.
Yeah.
But after that, the Brazil began to be a country.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's really we are improving little by little,
Yeah.
but
It's interesting that you talk about it that way because it's definitely, like the United States, Brazil is a very large country in terms of land mass, and because of that, it includes a lot of different types of people. People, indigenous people, people from, Europe, people. Understand there's even a lot of people from China and Japan that live in Brazil. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of people coming together and to try to figure out what do we want to do, and certain people like Nihon's kind of saying over in the chat. About individuals. Yes, there were revolutions, but they were led by individuals. Is that what you're trying to say, Nihan? That
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
and
In the
really,
history, yeah, in the history, we can see that not the crowds, not the, I don't want to say ignorance, but some of the big societies are ignorance. Look
yeah,
at that French Revolution or something. There are
hmm,
always one or three leaders, and they lead the crowds, and
yeah,
it makes a difference. We
hmm,
cannot say it's nonsense or it's useless because
yeah,
our humanity history is based on this reality. If we want to change something, yeah, we have to resist.
hmm,
Not a bloody one, not a maybe with a violent, but we have to do something.
yeah. Well, are you also saying though that it takes certain types of people who will be able to lead, like, you
Yeah,
know, yeah, because I'm thinking about that movie that you told me to watch. What was it called? Danton or something, or
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I watched parts of it. I couldn't find the whole thing, but I was watching parts of it on YouTube.
Danton and Robespierre,
And
yeah,
Robespierre, yeah.
they lead the revolutions, and the crowds just
Hmm.
follow them because
Yeah.
they believe them.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so it really depends who's leading. So, for example, in the
yeah.
history, maybe
Hello.
of hello, maybe in the history
Who's
of
that?
Mohammed, Brazil, like you said, it's a young country.
I'm trying to say anything from a lot of time. I'm waiting to feel is it suitable to start talking, but
Oh.
when you stop talking, another one start talking in the same time.
Yes,
I'm
because Mohammed, we you just joined us, but we've been talking since the last hour, so we're kind of excited in our conversation. But I'm going to welcome everybody here in just a minute because I was continuing on with Adriano. So
I'm
yeah, let
sorry,
me.
but I can't hear you. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
You can't hear me?
Yes, I can. Now I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good.
I have just one thing I wanted to say.
Okay.
I love Brazil so much because
Yeah.
without Brazil we wouldn't watch these fantastic football players,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we wouldn't drink this fantastic coffee
Yeah.
without Brazil. And I am Egyptian, by the way, and
Okay.
in Africa they told Egypt the African Brazil in football session, in the football department. In Africa, they say in Egypt, Africa, and the Middle East.
Yeah.
Egypt is the African and the Middle Eastern Brazil.
Oh, okay. Great. So you appreciate Brazil. Hey, you like
Yes,
Brazil.
I
Nice.
appreciate Brazil
Oh,
football and coffee.
we are in samba.
And samba, yeah. I like
Yes,
Brazilian music too. I've been. My son is very into that song, the Nossa Nossa song. You know that one?
No, no. Which
Nossa,
which one?
Nossa, Nossa. Well, it says Nossa
Oh,
Nossa.
Michel
Michel
Teló,
Teló.
Michel Teló,
Yeah.
Michel Teló.
The
No,
Michel
no,
Teló. Yeah,
no.
yeah.
It's
Michel
really
Teló is
terrible. It's terrible. No, no, no. It's not Brazilian. It's not Brazilian.
That's not Brazilian.
No.
No.
Well, it has a good beat and you can dance to it. So that's what's important. Okay, let me say hi to people. Because hi Chow, you came in and joined us, and Mohammed, you joined us. The rest of us have already been in the other hour, the other class, and so we've been talking about French protests, strikes, Brazilian protests and strikes, and we were just talking about what is going on in related to protests and strikes in the different countries that were represented in the class. And the protest was about taxes in France. The protest is about taxes. So I thought in this hour we could kind of talk about taxes a little bit. Nihan's really excited about this topic. She couldn't wait to come to class and talk about taxes. It's her favorite topic, actually, I think.
For Friday night, especially.
You know,
For
Lisa,
Friday night.
taxes is a common thing in all of the countries.
That's right.
From a very very long time. But
Exactly.
there's two types of taxes, and it depends on the government. I will give you some examples. In America, people pay a lot of taxes, but instead of this money they are paying, they gain a lot of services. They gain a lot of good services. They go to hospitals for free.
What?
They made a lot of things. What?
Not in the United States. For free?
Not in the United States.
No.
Not free. Not for free. Not I know. I didn't mean for free.
Okay.
I mean that you are American, right?
Yes, I am.
And you pay a lot of taxes. American people are taxes payer, right?
Taxpayers, yes. Many of them. In fact,
Taxpayer.
Depends, but yes. Generally, yes.
But you get service instead of the taxes you are paying.
Yes.
In Egypt, it's very different from America. In Egypt, we here paying taxes, but we don't get anything instead of the money we are paying. You know, I wanted to say that the taxes importancy, it depends on the government. If the government is strong, and it's every country economic is strong, have a strong economy, they will use the taxes to help people. But if the government is weak and have a weak economy, they will use the taxes to pay some money to other countries to make a lot of things that not be helpful to their nations.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. But
you understand?
When you refer to America, America is a really really big continent. You have to say, for us it's funny because when I went to Europe, people says, "Are you are from America?" But I guess it's better you say U.S. because the U.S. they have a big difference. They are different from Brazil, from South. For us it's strange you say. In America, people are like that. In America, in U.S. they are like they have one way.
Yeah.
In South America, they have another way. So for me, it's a little bit strange.
Did you understand, Mohammed?
No, his voice is really interrupted. Would you tell me, please?
Yeah, he just wanted you to make the distinction or the difference between referring to America as the continents of North America, South America, versus talking about the United States. So.
Yes, I'm talking about the United States.
You're talking about the United States. Yes. So let me just talk for a minute, Mohammed, because I want to just give a little bit of vocabulary here, make sure we all know what we're talking about. So I put it on the screen share here. So in the United States, there are a few different types of taxes. So you have income taxes at the federal level. That's everybody in the United States. You pay a certain percentage of your income that you make. At the state level, you might also have income taxes, but not everywhere. Like in Washington, we don't have any state income taxes. And then a lot of places have sales tax. Most states do, but for example, Oregon does not. So every state gets to decide what they want to do. And in fact, a lot of times it's the people who get to vote. So for example, if you have you have local taxes, you might want to improve your library. So then they'll put a vote, they'll put a ballot out of like a bond, and we can decide whether or not we want to tax ourselves to pay for improvements in the library, for example. We also have property taxes and, of course, all kinds of other things like phone taxes that get added to your bill. We have gas taxes that get added to the price of gas, airport taxes, all kinds of different taxes. But the main taxes are these. Those are the bigger ones that you pay on your salary. So, Mohammed, you already mentioned that for in the United States, some of these taxes are actually paying for things. So yes, at the federal level, there's a budget. So you guys all heard about the shutdown in the U.S. government. That was because they couldn't agree. The politicians, the government, could not agree on how to spend money in the budget, how to allocate the money. And so they shut the government down and said, we're not doing anything. They went on strike, really. The state happens the same way. They create a budget, and the local cities and towns, they also have local governments that create budgets, and then they have to get revenues. That's how they get the money. What do we get for our money? Like you said, Mohammed, we get roads, we get dams built, we get services, various types of things, electricity, all of the things that are paid for underground, sometimes water. Some of that is private, some of that is helped out with government monies. The sales tax pays for other things at the local and the state level also. So in the United States, we do pay a lot of taxes, and I'm just wondering, what kinds of taxes do you guys have to pay?
So many.
Nihan, you're cracking me up. Okay, so Nihan needs to grab some alcohol before she can talk about taxes. But Carlos, yeah. I hear that in Brazil you pay a lot of taxes. Is that true?
Yes, it's true, and I think the most problem here is because we pay a lot of taxes, but we have nothing for that. So, in theory, you pay taxes to have good hospitals, good education,
sure,
and so on. But it's not true. You pay a lot of taxes and don't have nothing. And it's worse because in the United States you pay sales taxes,
yeah,
but you know how much you pay for these taxes, and it's more organized because you know I pay 8% of this product in taxes. All right. In Brazil, this percentage of taxes is hidden for the people. So some products we pay 40% in taxes.
Wow.
In petrol, in another products are essential for us. We pay a high percentage of taxes, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and so is that part of the recent protests in Brazil about the tax situation or not?
Not yet, because I think the protests in Brazil it's a little confused at the moment, because it starts because the price of the bus pass.
Yeah.
And after that, some groups, different groups, start protests, and at the moment in Rio de Janeiro, teachers are protesting for their salaries. But in São Paulo, they have other motivation to do protests. So it's not organized protests, not because just one cause, but for different causes. So it's don't have enough strength to achieve the goal of the protest, because it's not one cause, it's a lot of causes, because it's a lot of problems here.
So a lot of different things are starting to get all kind of mixed together, maybe. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. So
Lisa, do you know how much costs a PS4 here in Brazil?
No. How much?
$200.
How much?
$200. $2,000.
What?
$2,000 here.
Oh my gosh.
It's cheaper for us to travel to US, buy, and come back.
I'm gonna travel to US, buy 2 PS, and sell one, and pay my travel and my other PS.
Wow.
No.
Ooh, well, here in the United States, it's going to be $400.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and that includes that doesn't include sales tax, so then it will be a little bit more than that with the sales tax. But it's not going to be $2,000. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I have talked to many Brazilians who come to like Miami or something, and they take a trip and they buy stuff and they take it back. Yeah. It used to be like that. You know, when I went to Spain when I was younger, everybody wanted me to bring. I don't know if you guys know 501 Levi jeans, because they were so expensive to buy in Europe, and they were cheap in the United States. So I took some in my my suitcase, and people were very happy. Yeah.
The cars. We construct a lot of cars in Brazil.
Yeah.
But in Mexico, the car is cheaper than in Brazil, and we produce them.
Wow.
Why?
And that's because of the taxes.
Yeah.
Brazil export car for other countries in Latin, but here is more expensive for them. It's not make sense.
Yeah. Chow, what is it like in China with tax? Do you pay sales tax, income taxes, things like that?
Yeah, of course we pay such as taxes like sales tax, income tax, and added value taxes, and also consumption taxes are everywhere. Even though some taxes are hidden by the whatever name, but people pay the taxes even though they didn't realize at that moment. And also that, as you mentioned, the tariff, the tax on the import products and export products, it is also very high in China. So I think China has the most highest tax rate in this world.
Do you know what it is?
Well, I don't know. For example, for the sales taxes, or we have two types of sales taxes. Or we have sales tax and added value taxes, and I guess it should be 25%, or no, it's 17%, I guess.
Wow, that's on everything that you buy, or?
Oh, it's just for if you sell a product and the product is to $100, and the cost of product is $100, and you sell it for $200, and you need to pay $17, something like that.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot. I think that's similar in Germany. Is that right, Erhan? They have a value-added tax in Germany, or?
I would say that if you want to enjoy with taxes, and I would suggest you that you move to Germany, and we have here, for example, 19% sales tax.
19%?
19% sales tax.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we have here, for example, also income taxes, And the whole percentage of income taxes, health insurance, pension taxes, payments, and so on is about 42% of your gross salary.
Wow.
And you'll get only 58% of your gross salary as net payment. And then, as I mentioned before, there is a sales tax about not about 19%.
Mm-hmm.
And there are also television taxes. If you watch television, if you have one at home, then you pay 20 euros monthly.
Mm-hmm.
And if you own a computer, about 6 euros per computer monthly.
Monthly? Wow.
Yeah. And
but in Germany, I lived in Germany, and it seemed like there were a lot of nice services. So do you think, is that how it is still in Germany now? Because it seemed like, for example,
services?
Yeah, like the roads were pretty good, the healthcare is good.
Yeah, sure. There are lots of benefits if you pay so much, so many taxes, and health insurance. Insurance works very well, and if you go to a hospital, and they will deal with you without any extra cost. I mean,
yeah,
you are insured very well, and but everything costs, and someone pay for these services.
Yeah. Does the high taxes, like the high sales tax, do you think that keeps people from buying stuff, or do people buy anyways?
The people must buy anyways in order to live here, and for example, foods, or you may be able to drive to work, and you need an auto or a car, or public transportation. And for example, if you drive by public transportation, if you bus station, you must pay about 3 euros, about $5 US dollars.
Wow.
Here is also very expensive as well.
So do you think that the salaries of the people are good, pretty good?
After 2000, after the money change from German mark, German money unit to euro, I think it is worse than before 2000. The people earn money as well, but the problem is the prices are also very high here in Germany because of taxes. For example, sales taxes and production cost, and the oil is also very expensive. It is 2 euro per liter.
Yeah, wow, yeah, it's expensive. Yeah, we have it pretty good in the United States. A lot of people in the United States are always complaining about taxes, we don't want to pay any money, but in comparison to other countries, other people around the world, you guys, you're paying much higher taxes for things. And Carlos, you're saying that you don't even know sometimes what amount of what you just spent to buy something is actually tax versus how much the product actually costs. Is that what you're saying? Carlos?
Well, I'm sorry, teacher. I'm writing for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that's interesting because, for example, here this last weekend I went to Oregon. So from my house I can drive 4 hours and I get to Portland, Oregon. Now in Portland, in all of Oregon, they do not have any sales tax. So I bought a TV and a new computer because those are expensive items, not super expensive, but a few $100s, you know. And I saved probably maybe $100 or more in taxes. And so in the United States, this is what some people do. They go to other. I don't do it all the time, but I was visiting my friends. so I decided to buy something that I was wanting to buy anyways. And so yeah, in the United States, every state has. Yeah, actually, every city oftentimes can have different sales tax too, because you can have a local tax plus the state tax. So, yeah, so that was a good deal. Nihan, what about in Turkey?
Its legal rate is 18%, the taxes, but the inflation is really reflect the salary. The middle class getting more poor. All of kind of people just say Turkish economy is growing, but it's a big dilemma because we only change our wealthy and rich persons. In the past, they were living in Istanbul, but in nowadays, some of the rich conglomerates and holdings are landed on Anatolia. It only reflects that kind of, but the middle class is not changed and the poor ones is not changed. But the taxes is not really high in Turkey for some special products, but the electronics or cars, yeah, it's really high.
Yeah.
For luxury,
so
maybe.
Luxury items, yeah.
Yeah.
So, for example, here I wrote in the chat that in the United States you don't have to pay tax on food. So, like if you go to the grocery store and you buy like whatever you're gonna cook for dinner and you buy it there, you don't have to pay for food if it's like the raw ingredients, like a banana or potatoes or meat. But if you buy something that's packaged already, like some cookies maybe or something like that, then you do pay a tax. Do you have something similar to that in Turkey?
Yes, similar. If you want to just buy your main products for your meal, it's only 8% of taxes. But if you want to buy a bottle of wine, its percentage is 20%. Because I'm an accountant, you know, I always work with these issues in the company. But if you buy more luxury, you have to pay more, especially alcohol and cigarettes and luxuries or some things. But I can say that inflation is not really high nowadays, but it doesn't affect the salaries. It's the same. When I was 5 years ago, I earned the same money. 5 years later, if nothing changed, I will earn the same money. It's stable nowadays, and it's not. It's a nice thing.
Yeah, that's good. And Rafael, what do you want to say about taxes? You live in Brazil. Is it? Do you notice that it's crazy? Like, do you feel like you pay too much in taxes?
Yes. We have, as I have written, we have to work at least 5 or 6 months just for paying taxes.
Yeah.
Because and we're not sure. We're not sure on how there is no. We're not sure about how all this money is applying for, and where this money is applying for.
Yeah.
Because they don't set this clearly for the population. And of course, if this money would be well applied, if we could apply this money in good in benefit for people, I think we will have reason to complain. But it's not that what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like in Brazil, that's like an unknown. So you just don't really know where is all the money going. If we are paying such high rates of taxes, you must be able to accumulate to save up all this money and use it for things like the healthcare or the education, the things, infrastructure of towns, things like that. So yeah. So Mohammed, you were saying the same problem is in Egypt, where you're paying money in taxes, but the government isn't using it to help the people. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, of course. I said that, but after I heard this high percentage of taxes in Germany and in Brazil, in Egypt it's different. We don't pay such tax as this high percentage of taxes. We pay a little percentage. Sure, we pay sales taxes, phone taxes, gas taxes, all of these taxes we pay, but not in high percentage. But the problem is, this money, the government takes it from us without any right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
how much is the
that all the
sales
problem?
tax? How much is the sales tax in Egypt, for example?
15%.
15%?
15%.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies, hello?
Yes, I was laughing at Nihan's comment in the Verbling chat because she's an accountant and she can't believe she's talking about taxes on a Friday night when she's not working. Go ahead, Mohammed.
But you know, there's a lot of companies pay these taxes for the people. I mean, in the phone taxes, when you buy a spreadsheet card to have a credit, the company pays this tax for the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that we are not paying a lot of taxes. We pay a small.
Yeah. So compared to other countries, now that you've been listening to these guys, Egypt's not on the higher end; it's on the lower end of taxes. Yeah. So Chao, in the last class we were talking about strikes and protests, and Yuki was saying that in Russia they don't really have strikes. I'm wondering if in China do they allow any kind of protest or strikes like related to these types of topics, like how much food costs or income taxes or things like that, or is that not allowed?
Well, firstly, I don't think it is allowed. Well, it is allowed. The government said you can do that, but you need to submit a document to the government. And if the government allow you to, you think it is appropriate, then they will let you to do the protest. But it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, if I want to protest, why should I talk to you? And
ask your permission. Yeah.
Yeah, you won't permit me to do that. So, and I don't think the Chinese people are concerned about the tax at such a much high level. They just focus on how the salary they have and the wage they earn is too low, and some people protest. But there's no big group or something. I think they do it by individual. By individual, what I mean is they maybe climb on the top of the building and they just it sounds like a threaten for the other people. If you don't pay my wage, I'll jump from the building, I'll kill myself.
Oh wow.
So it is more common in China to do such a protest, but not for the organized or some labor union to do that.
Yeah.
The Chinese, the power of the labor union in China is not that strong. It is limited and less influential.
Yeah. Well, that was what Yuki was saying about Russia is kind of like a paradox or a contradiction because, the government is kind of supposed to be for the workers. So you might assume already that the workers have a good situation in China because that's how the government wants to rule, with the workers being paid well and that type of thing. But I imagine there are always people who want to earn more money and want to have more freedom to do the things they want to do, make as much money as they can, for example, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah. Nihan, you're answering the question in the chat. Congressman's pocket. All right. Yes. Well, I was just looking at that list that Carlos provided the link for, and it came up, and I was shocked at all the different taxes, and then it came to my mind like, well, that's where all the money goes, is paying somebody to figure out that list. Keeping them busy with that kind of stuff,
Lisa, I asked her about Erdogan because here in Egypt, his party says that Erdogan made from Turkey an Europe country, and he made
Yes,
it
yes,
very,
he did.
very good country. And
Yes.
you told me, you said, Niam, that you feel not difference. The rich class, such the only class that feels the difference.
Yes, it's a big lie. The other countries always buy it, especially the Middle East countries. That doesn't change anything. There was a few rich and real wealthy holdings and families in Turkey in the past, but Erdogan just when she just joined governments, and for 10 years he just changed the rich people society. He gives some beats and some governments aspects to deaf families in Anatolia. It only changed for the change of the money to hand of the money change in Turkey from Istanbul to Anatolia, but the middle class, especially the poor class, is not change anything. It's stable, but it's what can I say? Sometimes you have to be pleasant for bad to worse, but we are in the bad, not worse.
Yeah. Well,
Not worst.
yeah.
Still,
The worst is inflation. My salary could become really decreased, that I cannot afford to buy some things. But in 5 years, it doesn't affect by inflation or something. My salary just buy the same things in the past 5 years, and I think it seems like that in 5 years later it could be the same range.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I
How?
think it's a good thing, Nia.
Yeah, I just said not bad,
Yeah.
and not worse. It's bad, but not worse, because
No,
the
but
poor
you
people doesn't change anything. They are poor and getting more poor. The middle class is stable just now.
but when you say that your salary now, you can make the same things with it that we was making from 5 years, it's a very good thing. It's not a bad thing. In Egypt
Yeah, it's about
here,
inflation.
in
The inflation rate
that
doesn't
what?
change.
Yeah, that's what she means.
Inflation?
Inflation is, yeah, inflation is when
Would you
your,
write it, please?
yeah, I wrote it there. That talks about your buying power. So, for example, if you make $2,000 per month, and then in 1 month your expenses are, say, 18. Well, let's not make that much. Maybe you have $1,500 in expenses. Then that means, every month you have money left over. But then if things start going up, inflation rises, things cost more. So when things cost more, then you didn't get a raise, so you still have the same amount of money, but now you can't buy as much. It will cost you more to buy the same things.
In
Yeah.
Turkey, what happens? The big boss are in fight in nowadays for 10 years, because in Anatolia there wasn't really enough rich conglomerates or big companies, and Erdogan just did that, and it changed the money from the rich people to another rich people, and he creates a new society for the rich people.
Do you mean the rich people that are getting rich because of business?
The rich people just the past rich people just give up, and the new rich people created
Yes.
for because of this government. Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering because I just saw the article and I put a link in there about. It sounds like he's very interested in building the infrastructure of the
Yes,
country,
yes.
so like building
Yeah, yeah.
roads and stuff. Yeah, and
It's
so
for sure,
building.
you know, Lisa.
Well,
When you are not really developing development country, that kind of infrastructural assets makes the people really happy because they think, yes, the government is working. That's for show.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if it's also to help other like companies, big businesses, so that they can make more money and exploit more the natural resources of Turkey and make it easier for them to, deliver their goods and all that type of thing, which may or may not benefit the people in general.
In the past, the other big companies just do that kind of infrastructurals, but it's a really hard word to pronounce. But nowadays, they are all the government's companies, as usual,
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, that's what I was wondering. Because usually you guys want to take pictures. Usually, like in Brazil, when you guys talk about corruption, it's a lot of times because the government money is being used to help your friends, to help people in companies, that type of thing. So,
it's a way to use the money,
Yes.
When you just built a bridge or built a seaport, you can hire your people, your political correspondents, and you can transfer the money to them, and they make them richest.
Yeah, give them. Yeah, in America, there's always, in the United States of America, you hear stories like about the military-industrial complex and how, for example, in the United States military, a toilet that would normally cost you maybe like, I don't know, $50 if you go to the your local hardware store, maybe $100. But in the military, they buy them for $500 each, and the reason is that's basically they're paying too much money, and that money's going to the businesses that are friends of whoever decided to buy new toilets, for example. So that's one way that they pass the money through to their friends, or to get if I do this for you, you'll do that for me. So it's like I'll scratch your back, you'll scratch my back, and everybody will be happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a huge network of interest between them, these politicians and the companies and the company owners.
Yeah.
So many works overpriced, and they spend this money, and there is a link between them and the judgments, how can I say, in the law system, because none of them are arrested. They look for the legal system. They look for tools. They look for situations to escape from being jailed. Being sent to jail.
Yes. Yes. And in the United States, the word that we use about that kind of crime is white-collar crime. So there's like the regular crime, which is like people shooting each other or robbing banks or, robbing somebody's house, gang violence, things like that. But the white-collar crime is when somebody who's like the CEO of a bank, and they cook the books, they counting the books, that they use, they falsify them or something, and later maybe they find out, but he gets like, they call it like a slap on the wrist. So maybe he goes to jail for 1 year, but yet he affected many thousands of people that maybe lost their money, lost their retirement funds, something like that. And so that happens also in the United States, even though the legal system might go after somebody who committed a white-collar crime, like a big business type financial crime. They don't necessarily get punished too severely. So, yeah.
kind of compliment. White collar crime? Wow.
Well, that's the difference. A white collar job is the kind of job that you would wear like a fancy shirt, yeah, and the blue collar is, you know, where you would work in a factory,
Wall Street
maybe.
jobs.
Yes, exactly. Right. So, Erkan, we're talking about different countries and what their governments say and what they really do. What kind of a reputation does the German government have? Do they have a reputation of being corrupt?
I think I'm taking advantage of living in Germany since the corruption rates in Germany are very low. Mm-hmm. And I think Germany is one of the countries in which the social system or legal system works properly. Mm-hmm. And right now, the election was a month ago. We don't have still any government, but they are trying to build up a new one, and they try to smooth things over right now, and agree on the plan of politician. Mm-hmm. I think it's very. There are also white. What did you say before?
White collar crimes.
Crimes also here. For example, the CEOs which are playing around stock exchange rates and so on.
Yeah.
There are also such crimes here in Germany, but I'm very happy to live in Germany. I would say I grew up in Turkey, and I know very well how it works in Turkey, how the corruption is, how the inflation is. Mm-hmm. In Germany, for example, the inflation is about 1.8%, and it is nothing. It is nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Xiao, what is the inflation rate in China? Do you know? Does it seem like it's going up, or?
Well, it is always going up, and the officials claim that it is 3%. But I don't think it is 3%. I think it should be more than 5%. Chinese people don't believe the official number.
Yeah. And you don't believe it because, like, when you go to the store, things are just more expensive? You feel it, yeah. So, I'm curious, how much do people generally spend? Like, if I wanted to go out to dinner, I don't know, like, get a pizza or something like that, something not so expensive, what would it be like in Brazil, Adriano, if I want to go get a pizza or something?
Oh, if you go to a place here and buy a pizza for 4 people,
yeah,
it costs around 40 reais.
Okay.
40 reais.
I have a deal. Can we talk about the prices of burgers?
Yeah, sure.
Every country has McDonald's, and we can compare the prices of the burgers menu, for example.
I don't know how much it costs. I don't go to McDonald's. I pay expensive for. My hamburgers are expensive.
Here in Germany, for example, if you buy a regular burger with Coca-Cola, or and first it costs about €7, about $10.
Okay.
€7?
€7.
Oh, it's
like a quarter pounder.
It's almost same price McDonald's.
Yeah, almost same price as my
Depends.
Not same price. It's impossible. It could be arranged for the country's currency or something. It's not really expensive in Turkey. But do you remember, Lisa, that we were talking about the internet prices or something?
Oh, yeah.
That I yelled to the girl that you are selling this is really expensive, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But when I heard from you, oh my gosh, it was really, really high. And I changed my internet service, and for now I paid $30 per month, 1 and 3 only.
Wow. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, it's
right.
really cheap.
How is the speed of your internet?
Pardon me, Adriana?
Which is the speed? The speed.
I don't really know that kind of technical issues, but its speed is what was
I mean
20,
1
20.
megabytes, 1 megabytes, 10 megabytes. I don't know.
It's not limited, and the speed is 20 megahertz or something.
Megabytes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
megabytes per second.
I mean, it's megabit.
Or bits, whatever.
Megabit. It's a speed of the internet transfer rate.
Megabits. Yeah. So Nihan thought is expensive. Like I'm paying right now, basically $95 per month for internet and phone.
95?
So almost $100 a month. Yeah. So what do you guys pay?
But you can call cost free and talk?
I can call all around the United States for free. Yes. Well, that costs like $15 a month, but yeah, it does. It's not charged per call. It's like per month.
What about cell phones?
No, for the cell phone, I have an iPhone, and I have a 4 gigabyte data plan, and I'm on.
Let me ask you something. You have a coffee, and for $95 for month, is it using the internet is using in your cafe or only your home?
That's the home.
Oh my gosh, it's really high.
Yeah. Well, that includes the phone. Does yours include the phone too?
No, not phone or cable service or something.
That's just internet. The phone and the internet. So in Brazil, for example, what do you guys pay?
Well, I pay almost the same for internet, phone, and TV.
Oh. That's good.
TV.
Yeah, but it's limited. The phone. You just can call people from the same company.
Really?
And you can no, at least for me I don't know for you, Carlos, but I can call to the same company, and I have 15 minutes to call to another companies. If I call more than that, I will pay extra tax.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah.
Oh wow. So do you use a cell phone or a phone like a hardline phone in your house?
Yeah, I prefer to use the cell phone. It's cheaper for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's interesting. Everybody, it looks like in countries things are similar, but the taxes can make things really go high because, like in Brazil, things are very expensive compared to what you can buy them for here in the United States. But in Turkey, it sounds like maybe similar to the United States or less in some ways, for some things. Well, Nihan, you have a perk. That's a perk.
Yes.
Your boss pays for your cell phone.
Yes.
And your oil. What do you mean? Your oil for your heating?
For my car.
For your car? Oh, for your gas?
Gas, yeah.
He pays your gas. That's pretty good.
Yep. I'm lucky.
Yeah, that's what we're telling you. I agree with you.
You know, but my boss is nefarious. He's really weak, but I cannot quit the job because I have lots of perks. When you are working in a company for long years, you deserve to get some perks, but it's not the same. What was the phrase? The grass are always green
the grass is always greener on the other side. Yeah. greener on the other side. Yeah, that means you're always looking. You have your situation, and even though it might be pretty good, you're looking over there and going, "That looks better. I want that." So yeah. Right. What about monthly rent? Oh, the rent is really different in different places. In my town, you can rent a whole house for like $850 per month. But if you go, for example, to San Francisco, you won't even find like anything for less than 1,000. That could be like a tiny room, or something.
Well, we have some houses in Rio de Janeiro that more expensive than castles in England.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy. Brazil is definitely.
Shall
Brazil definitely has
the
rent. What?
Shall I talk about monthly rents here in Germany?
Yeah, tell us real quick, and then we're gonna end this class. So the other person's gonna start.
For 50 meter, I pay 900 euros. It is 900
How many bedrooms does that have?
2.
2 bedrooms? Wow.
It's a regular apartment. It's not a luxury.
Yeah.
It's not in city at all. I have to drive 20 minutes every day to work, and but
what is it close to? What city are you close to?
In Hamburg.
Oh, Hamburg. Okay. Yeah. Well, that doesn't seem too bad.
You can pay your mortgage with this rate, 900 euros. Oh my gosh, it's really, really high in Turkey.
Yeah. It is a regular apartment rent, monthly rent in Germany. You cannot find an apartment under 600 euros, but for 600 you get some cave outside of the city, and you should drive an hour every day to work.
Wow. Yeah, Germany is pretty expensive with housing. When I lived in Germany, I heard that I was younger, so I didn't know that much about this type of stuff.
In which city did you?
I lived in Oberursel, which is outside of Frankfurt. So it's a small town. But I think my mom was, at that time, and that was 20 years ago, was paying, or more than 20 years ago, she was paying $1,000 a month for a 3-bedroom apartment, and in a small town about, I don't know, 20 minutes outside of Frankfurt.
$1,000, it makes about 700 euros.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago. So
it's now 900.
Probably at least, yeah. Yeah.
Here now is so expensive, like in Germany, man.
Yeah.
Here we pay the same.
Wow.
Yeah. But the difference that in German you have good quality of life.
Well, in Brazil you have good weather.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. It's absolutely true. We are here about 10 months, only winter here. Just overcasted weather, and you cannot go out for a drink, and you must sit at home, and it's very dark.
Yeah.
Outside.
Can I ask you something, Erhan? Where do you live originally when you were in Turkey? Which
Izmir.
city?
In Izmir, on the west coast.
Yeah, I'm living in Izmir. I know.
That's a nice place.
My sister's name is also Nihan.
Does she live in Turkey?
Really? it is why I'm called Erhan. My sister is called Nihan. My name is Erhan.
It's kind of harmonic, the name. But it's really rare name, calling someone Nihan, because I'm 36 and I've never met with another Nihan. It's not a common name in Turkey, but it's really nice. In Izmir and Nihan, we have lots of things common, Erhan.
Yeah, well, it's true.
All right, you guys. Well, thanks for coming to class. I'm going to go take a break, and I have a couple more classes in a couple of hours if you're still awake and you want to talk about some more things. Otherwise, I'll have a few classes
No
tomorrow.
more Texas, please.
Well, Nihan, I have a writing class, and it's a creative writing class. So I don't know if you're going to be awake or not, but you can create a story. Because I know you can make some nice stories.
Okay, I
awesome. Will. Okay. Go take a nap right now. Come back later.
Bye-bye.
Okay, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you for the class. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Brazil began to be a country.
Yeah.
So it's really we are improving little by little.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting that you talk about it that way, because it's definitely, you know, like the United States, Brazil is a very large country in terms of land mass, and because of that, it includes a lot of different types of people. You know, people, indigenous people, people from, you know, Europe, people. Understand there's even a lot of people from China and Japan that live in Brazil. So yeah, it's a lot of people coming together and to try to figure out what do we want to do, and you know, certain people, like Nihan's kind of saying over in the chat about individuals. Yes, there were revolutions, but they were led by individuals. Is that what you're trying to say, Nihan? That
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And really.
Yeah, in this story we can see that not the crowds, not the, I don't want to say ignorance, but some of the big societies are ignorant. Look at that French Revolution or something. There are always one or three leaders, and they lead the crowds, and it makes a difference. We cannot say it's nonsense or it's useless, because our humanity history is based on this reality. If we want to change something, we have to resist. Not a bloody one, not a maybe with a violent, but we have to do something.
Yeah. Well, are you also saying though that it takes certain types of people who will be able to lead, like, you know? Yeah, because I'm thinking about that movie that you told me to watch. What was it called? Danton or something? Or Yeah. I watched parts of it. I couldn't find the whole thing, but I was watching parts of it on YouTube.
Danton and Robespierre, they lead the revolutions, and the crowds just follow them because they believe them.
Right? Yeah, and so it really depends who's leading. So, for example, in the history maybe in the history of Mohammed, Brazil, you know, like you said, it's a young country.
I'm trying to say anything from a lot of time. I'm waiting.
About French protests, strikes, Brazilian protests and strikes, and we were just talking about what is going on in related to protests and strikes in the different countries that were represented in the class. And the protest was about taxes in France. The protest is about taxes. So I thought in this hour we could kind of talk about taxes a little bit. Nihan's really excited about this topic. She couldn't wait to come to class and talk about taxes. It's her favorite topic, actually, I think.
For Friday night, especially.
You know,
for Friday night.
Taxes is a common thing in all of the countries.
That's right.
From a very, very long time. But there's two types of taxes, and it depends on the government. I will give you some examples. In America, people pay a lot of taxes, but instead of this money they are paying, they gain a lot of services. They gain a lot of good services. They go to hospitals for free. They made a lot of things. What?
Not in the United States. For free?
Not in the United States.
No.
Not free. Not for free. I didn't mean for free.
Okay.
I mean that you are American, right?
Yes, I am.
And you pay a lot of taxes. American people are taxes payers, right?
Taxpayers, yes. Many of them. In fact,
taxpayer.
Depends, but yes, generally, yes.
But you get service instead of the taxes you are paying.
Yes.
In Egypt, it's very different from America. In Egypt, we here paying taxes, but we don't get anything instead of the money we are paying. You know, I wanted to say that the taxes importancy, it depends on the government. If the government is strong and it's every country economic is strong, have a strong economy, they will use the taxes to help people. But if the government is weak and have a weak economy, to feel is it suitable to start talking, but when you stop talking, another one start talking in the same time.
Yes. Because Mohammed, you just joined us, but we've been talking since the last hour, so we're kind of excited in our conversation. But I'm going to welcome everybody here in just a minute because I was continuing on with Adriana. So
I'm sorry, but I can't hear you. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
You can't hear me?
Yes, I can. Now I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I have just one thing I wanted to say.
Okay.
I love Brazil so much because without Brazil we wouldn't watch these fantastic football players.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't drink this fantastic coffee. Without Brazil, and I am Egyptian by the way, and in Africa they told Egypt the African Brazil in football session, you know, in the football department in Africa they say in Egypt, Africa and Middle East.
Yeah.
Egypt is the African and the Middle Eastern Brazil.
Oh, okay, great. So you appreciate Brazil. You like
yes,
Brazil.
I appreciate Brazil football and coffee.
We are in samba.
In samba, yeah. I like Brazilian music too. I've been. My son is very into that song, the Nossa Nossa song. You know that one?
No.
Nossa,
which
Nossa, Nossa. Well, it says Nossa
Nossa.
Michel
Teló.
Yeah.
Michel Teló.
No. Yeah.
It's really terrible. No. It's not Brazilian.
That's not Brazilian?
No.
Well, it has a good beat and you can dance to it. So that's what's important. Okay. Let me say hi to people. Because hi Chow, you came in and joined us. And Mohammed, you joined us. The rest of us have already been in the other hour, the other class. And so we've been talking.
Where are you from?
Well, okay, I'll tell you. Hi, everybody. This is Lisa once again, and I'm back. This hour, it's going to be a speaking class, a conversation class. In the last hour, we read an article about the French soccer clubs threatening to go on strike if they don't get what they want related to a new tax. And so then we talked about protests and strikes and what can happen when some anarchists or other people come to infiltrate or instigate violence. So we're going to continue that conversation now. We're going to maybe move into the taxes. We'll see where the conversation goes. So we're going to just be talking in this hour. So if you want to join us, some people are rejoining us, and if you want to come in, even if you haven't yet read the article, you'll be able to figure out what we're talking about pretty quickly. So, hello, everybody. Welcome back. And hi, Carlos. Welcome. What happened to all the girls? Nihon is sticking with it. Okay. Welcome. Okay. So, like I said, we're gonna continue. Adriana, I wanted to continue talking what you were saying about Did I hear you correctly? Was it called Black Bloc? Is that right?
Black Bloc.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's some group in Brazil?
Yes, it's a group in Brazil. For them, you have to finish the government, the democracy. They want to finish the democracy.
Okay. What? And they want anarchy instead.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. So they have a political agenda. Yeah.
Yeah, and they make the protests really, really violent. And
I had never understood that. I never understood how, like a political party or a group of people could think that they're going to get more power by going in and kind of making people mad, really, because I don't think that the majority of people want that type of violence. I think what I can understand from the protests that I heard about in Brazil this year about the strike of the protest against the in Sao Paulo, the one against the raising the rate, that one, when they raised the rate of the transportation. And also the protests against the World Cup, how much money they were spending on building new stadiums versus healthcare and education and things like that. Like, that makes sense, but that makes sense that people would support that, maybe, that they're frustrated about the government spending the money that way, but it doesn't make sense that some group of people would come in and create this violence and think that therefore people are going to support their ideas. Seems kind of crazy.
No, but Brazil, there is a lot of corruption.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I know.
Unhappily, and the people, they don't care about the education because uneducated people will continue to vote to stupid politicians.
I see. Mm-hmm.
And I support the protest. You have to go there.
Sure.
But sometimes the people, they are in the protest, they don't know why they are there.
Yeah.
And because there are a lot of stupid people, and it's a paradox.
Yes.
You have bad education. How you gonna have not stupid people? So it's a kind of.
It's kind of an equation. Bad education equals stupid people. Okay.
Yeah, but Brazil is really a young country. We just, for me, we just have 100 years.
Okay.
Because before the royal family came to Brazil, Brazil just was explored,
Yeah.
But after that,